Welcome back to Bay Area Focus. Mark your calendar for November 4th because it is the PurpleStride Silicon Valley, the Walk to End Pancreatic Cancer. Richard Blish, an 8-year pancreatic cancer survivor, is here to discuss how vital this walk really is. Richard, thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So you are a survivor of pancreatic cancer, which is pretty amazing because the survival rate for pancreatic cancer is very low.
That's right.
Tell me about your story. Tell me about when you first found out.
9 years ago, I lost a lot of weight, got jaundiced. I had all the classic symptoms, and my doctor immediately knew what was wrong. My daughter is a MD, PhD. She's a professor at Stanford these days, and she did the research with regard to where I should go, and I enrolled in a clinical trial at the University of Washington. If I'd gotten conventional treatment, I would have had about a 30% chance of survival because it was caught early. But 100% of us did survive this wonderful treatment.
So everyone who was in that clinical trial with you,
that's correct,
was a survivor as well.
And the essence of it was to do chemo and radiation before the Whipple surgery.
Okay.
To shrink the tumor.
Sure. When you found out, when you got that diagnosis, what was that day like for you?
That was probably the worst day of my life because I went and looked it up what the prospects were, and they were bleak, 6% at the time. It's a little bit better now, but there's a lot of wonderful research going on that points the way toward substantial success.
Well, many think this is a neglected cancer, that maybe it doesn't get as much publicity as some of the other cancers.
That's correct. It's about a factor of 10 underfunded relative to the mortality.
So how can we get the word out? I know November is a very important month.
Yes, well, you're helping, obviously, and November is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, and I think there's a World Pancreatic Day on the 17th. So PanCan, Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, is actually affiliated with a lot of other organizations around the world.
How can people be preventative about this? You were lucky in the fact that you were diagnosed pretty early on, and then you went to this clinical trial. Well,
if you lose weight, lose appetite, and get jaundiced, and get itching, and pains of unspecified origin, I got the symptoms.
Those symptoms should be looked at right away.
That's true.
Any risk factors, anything people can do?
Obesity is one, smoking is another, but that's true for almost every disease, almost all cancers, in fact. But I keep wondering about things that I've done earlier in my life. I never smoked, but I got lots of secondhand smoke when I was a kid. And I did some work with chemicals early on. I don't know if I did myself in with that or not.
Well, what matters is you're here.
Yes.
Yes, an 8-year survivor. Let's talk about PurpleStride, the Walk to End Pancreatic Cancer. You're very involved in this. Tell me about the event.
Well, the event is a 5K walk or run. You can have a timed run if you like, and lots of entertainment and lots of awareness. About 1,000 people will show up, organized into a whole bunch of teams to try and raise money. The money goes, something more than 90% ends up funding the research. So that's really encouraging.
We just saw a picture of a past event. A lot of purple out there. You're wearing purple stripes today and also your purple ribbon. Purple is the color.
That's true.
To raise awareness for pancreatic cancer.
The other thing that's kind of interesting is we do an annual Advocacy Day in Washington, D.C. each June. And so about 700 of us show up and knock on the door of all the legislators, imploring them to support the research. But I think the funny thing is that there are so many of us that people ask us, why are you in purple on the elevators?
And you tell them, well, funny you should ask. This is why.
And lots of purple in the halls of Congress at that day.
Real quickly before we go, you believe that the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is making meaningful progress. Tell me about that progress.
Well, their near-term goal is to double the survival by 2020, and I think they're going to attain that. But even doubling it from 6% to 12% is still pretty terrible. And they've got some initiatives underway that should make it more effective and less expensive. They're not quite ready to release it, but it's just within a centimeter of being released. One of the things they already did release was something called Know Your Tumor, wherein they will sequence the tumor and find out what genes have been mutated or what proteins shouldn't be present, and those facts can be used together to figure out what treatment will be optimal.
Well, Richard, we are so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us your story.
My pleasure.
All right. And to find out how you can help, just log on to purplestride.org/Silicon Valley. After the break, we are catching up with the nonprofit a year after it opened. We'll be right back.